Am I alive yet?
Alive. Is everybody alive? Should be, maybe. Depends on who you are and where you're at, I guess. But here we go. Welcome back. Please like and subscribe. I hate doing that. That sounds cheesy, but it's what's needed to help this channel and process growth. So we're doing it tonight. We're gonna talk about Hollywood. The state of Hollywood, state of movies, the state of the business at the moment. As far as not just what I guess everyday people expect or get from it, but also what even stars and directors and individuals associated and in Hollywood think of the process. Well, first we'll start off, with the streaming aspect. Obviously, streaming has changed the game completely, to the point that, you don't even need theaters anymore. As, excuse me, as sad as that might sound. But unfortunately, that was just the evolution of entertainment. When I was a kid growing up, in the 90s, especially that summertime, you're going from about May to early August. The theaters, that was the prime time for a theater. That was when the big movies, as far as the big budget popcorn movies would come out. Your Will Smith movies, your Stallones, your Schwarzeneggers, your Jurassic Parks, your Independence Days, Men in Blacks, movies of that ilk, of that like, that May to August time period was built for that. And for us, it was looking at the newspapers, finding out when and where and what time that movie was being played, and get the neighborhood kids together and spend a few hours at the mall and the movie theater and enjoy that summer Friday night or Saturday night whenever we decided to go see it. And that is basically gone. And probably the last 15 years or so, I'd say it's been gone. I know with your age, as far as what your age is somewhat associated and determined how much you go to theaters. Like when I was a teenager in my early 20s, I was at theaters all the time for big movies or for just premieres of movies. But starting probably in my 30s, maybe, I would go to maybe 3 to 4 movies a year. And honestly, I was talking about this with people at work. The last time I went to the movie theater to catch a movie was 2021, and that was to see Spider-Man No Way Home. And besides that, I haven't been. There's just been really no care or need. Plus all of my friends are married, so they have their own thing. I'm not. I feel like I wouldn't go to the theater by myself. I'm not worried about that. But at the same time, it's just I'm not going to spend up to $30 at a theater when I can wait nowadays. You can wait 2 months and then it's either out on a streaming service or it'll be on Blu-ray or DVD before you know it. So why pay all that money when I can just wait a few months? So we'll get into a little bit of that. We'll start with Quentin Tarantino. He gave an interview this past week, and it was basically saying that 2019 was the last year of movies because you had COVID in 2020 that almost was the death knell in theaters. It basically destroyed it. Combine COVID with, let's be honest though, man, in the last 15 years, movies have just been trash. You have your popcorn movies of what people want to see, and then it's just in the weeds. There's just nothing there that really pulls you to a theater. And I mean, Tarantino goes into saying that 2019 was the last year and is due to streaming taking over. We can get into that a little bit here, you know. He considers they've gotten drastically worse since 2019. Here you go. That's a big effing deal. Pulling a payoff, and I don't know if I can. So here we go. There's a challenge, a genuine challenge by making movies. What the F is a movie now? What? Something that plays in the theaters for a token release for 4 weeks. All right, and by the second week you can watch it on television and rant on, and he ranted on. I mean, he's got a point. I mean, studios now, they'll throw it in there for a week to get that big pop for that first week, and they're not really worried about what the second week's going to hold, or the third week, or anything like after that. Again, back in the day, if a studio kept a film in theaters over 4 or 5 weeks, that was phenomenal. I mean, that was considered crazy to be number one for a month or so. And now they just want to get that quick hit to possibly try to make their money back for it, and then they're going to throw it on the streaming services or throw it on Blu-ray as quick as they can to get even more payoffs on it, because again, some of that goes into just the appetite of people and how that's changed, you know. People aren't willing to spend 2 or 3 hours at a theater anymore for whatever reason, as if they think they got more to do, you know. I don't I don't know. But I mean, he makes a good point that, I mean, a lot of it is just studios don't care. And one of the reasons, I mean, studios don't care is, I mean, it's become big business now. Studios, on some level, I mean, they were always giant conglomerates, but they were always kind of their own individual entity. But now, I mean, most studios are owned by companies or by just different investors, and they're not worried about, you know, keeping a movie in theaters for a very long time. They're more worried about getting their quick buck back and staying in the black, you know. And I think that goes into, there was another article somewhere and I couldn't find it, but they were talking about how, you know, in the last 10 years, studios have gone from being trendsetters, which is, I mean, when I was growing up in the 90s, you had the independent scene come back, because, I mean, the independent scene really came around in the 60s and changed Hollywood as it was, and a little bit in the 70s, and then kind of faded out. And then in the 90s, the independent scene came back with a roar and just, you know, carved their own way and carved their own river in the entertainment line. And this article got into talking about how studios don't make movies that are trend-setting. They don't find writers that challenge them, or that come up with ideas that are like, oh wow, that's something we haven't thought of. It's like theater or studios now just want to make movies that appeal to specific individuals, appeal to specific groups, appeal to the specific idealistics, you know. And granted, I mean, even in the 90s, you had movies that came out at different times that were for specific groups. They were for maybe, you know, the gay community, they were for the black community, they were for specific individuals. There was some of that came out, but it wasn't like a hidden agenda, or it wasn't one that was being shoved down your throat all the time, that you just got tired of hearing about it. If that one failed, let's just do another one bigger and better. Oh, well, that one didn't make it, another one bigger and better, but get this actor, get this actress. That independent scene in the 90s that would, you know, that would have specific things that, like certain religious groups wouldn't like, or certain left-wing groups wouldn't like, but there was a space for them. and they were played, and they might have been protested from time to time, but they still were allowed to be played, and they still were allowed to do their thing. And then once that went away, nobody cared. It wasn't a big thing. It was okay. Well, it did what it needed to do, or it didn't do what it needed to do, and that's that. Nowadays, I mean, what's the last movie that you can really think of that was like that trend set it, that went, holy crap, I want to be just like that, or hit the cultural zeitgeist and made people want to dress up like that particular character, made people want to act like that particular character. I can't think of anything in the last 15, maybe even 20 years in which you had just an individual, that you had an actor or an actress play an individual so well that people went home combing their hair like them, or dyeing their hair like them, or wanting to dress like them. You'd go out to a bar or a club, and you see 3 or 4 or 5 different people beginning to dress like them. There was, like, in the 80s, you would have people, you had those movies that would trend set, have certain characters, the way they looked, the way they dressed, and then that next weekend, everybody was dressed like them out in public, or out at a bar, or out at a club somewhere. The same thing in the 90s. You had a movie that would come out. The last one I can think, look at The Matrix and how that was a trendsetter. You used to never pay attention or never see anybody in trench coats with the glasses. The minute that movie hit, everybody was slicking their hair back or cutting it short. They were wearing long trench coats and glasses, and they were thinking that they were part of a computer or a part of a fake world, whatever you want to say. I can't think of anything in the last 20, and some people might throw out Harry Potter, but that wasn't really trend setting. That found like a nerd chic. If you want to say that, it's not everybody was dressing or everybody's dressing like Harry Potter. But I can't think of any movies in the last really 20 years, 25 years that had that ability to trend set. And that's a shame, the creativity has fallen, but we are, movies first started being made in, I think, the 1920s. So you've had, since the 1920s, you've had 100 years of movies made, and the evolution of movies. Of course, at some point, it's just like the music business. At some point, you just hit that wall where there's nothing left to give. There's nothing left really to create. There's nothing left really to do that's going to change, that's going to promote, or that's going to trend set. You'll have the oddball thing here or there, but it's just going to be one of those quick things that come through and does what it needs to do and then disappears. So there has to be an understanding of that as well. We're not getting movies back from the 90s. There's been studios that have tried that, and they have a quick little hit and they have a little thing, but it's nothing too amazing or crazy. You can get into all the political stuff that's in it, which that's fine. On some level, there's always been some sort of hidden agenda or hidden political, not advertisement, but hidden political discourse in movies. That's always been there. It's just we as a society weren't really paying attention to a lot of it, or we would see it, but it would just be like, it passed by and it was whatever. And that's where social media really has driven movies into the ground, because just by trailers alone, or just by the way, like, you get a picture, a screenshot of one actor or actress that comes out, and social media will take over it and it'll just drag it to the ground and just either just destroy it either one way or the other. It's too gay, or it's too right wing, or it's too it's just too horrible, it's too fascist, it's too white, it's too this, it's too that. The social media aspect is one that I don't even think Hollywood was prepared to have to deal with, in these last 10 years. And it was just set in overdrive in these last 5. And it's one of those things that I hope that people are beginning to come down on and beginning to leave and just not pay attention to as much as they might have years ago, and hopefully in the next 5 years, social media won't have the giant grip that it does on a lot of things that it does now. I mean, I think unfortunately it always will on some level, but um, maybe it'll loosen because people will realize they don't need it in their life, and it's better to be doing other things than sitting there just looking at it all day. But we shall see. I mean, only time can tell on that. But yeah, so the fact that studios are now owned by large IPs and large companies, you're not gonna get like movies that would come out that, I mean, that might not hit. And Matt Damon had said something about that, about how you had like in the 80s and 90s, it just seemed like you had tons and tons of movies that came out at that time. And he said what changed that was DVD sales, because before then you would have studios, they would make their prime movies, the ones that they thought would make money, and then they would do different ones that, they wouldn't put a lot of money into it. If it made money, that was great. If it didn't, it was whatever. And if it really took off, then it was a success. And that really changed when the DVDs became a thing, because now it was, why do we need to put all of them in the theater when we can make more money off DVD sales? And so, like, if you think back to the 90s, like certain movies like The Little Giants, The Big Green being one of them, maybe even Heavyweights, different movies like that people consider, childhood classics to themselves, wouldn't have had a theatrical run if they would have came out 10 years after that. They would have gone straight to DVD because that was where the money would have been made. And so unfortunately you don't really have Christ. I mean, I remember in the 90s you'd go to a theater, and depending, especially during the summer or around the holidays, you could have 20 different movies, and it's not the same ones. 20 different movies playing at different times, or a half hour between each other. And yeah, the bigger ones might have been playing more than some of the other ones. But it's like now when you look at the theater, it's like you maybe have five choices, just five choices. And I think that really hurts the movie business as well. I mean, yeah, everyone's going to run and see those big movies because that's just where it's at. But if you don't give them a variety, to pick from, then people just aren't going to come. And I think that's one thing that movie theaters need to look at. And again, this is where streaming comes into it, because they're going to see it as, well, why should we sell it to a theater and risk not making any money when they could just sell it to a streaming service? A story can be sold and they can just stream it either way. But it's one of those things where I think like studios just need to take that risk and have more movies out at one time, to where people can make better decisions, or instead of just being told that these are the only ones that you can look at, and give that variety to where they can make an actual decision for themselves. I mean, it'd be nice if they went back to that. I don't think they would. The other thing would be, it'd be great to see another independent studio show up, but I don't think that'll happen, because you have that, what is it, the 2-4, I can't remember exactly what that studio's name. They've put a lot of good movies out, but it's only a matter of time before a large studio buys that one up. And that's the problem you're going to have with independent studios now, is if they come out and they start making hits, or they start making movies that are shown as like possible award winners, that they're going to sell out to a larger conglomerate, a larger studio, because there's just money to be made there. And when you have places like Disney buying every other studio up, I mean, we're headed to, where there's just going to be one left. I mean, I think Paramount's up for sale now. They're in debt all the time. I mean, so there would be another studio that goes, possibly being bought out by a larger one, and just kind of disappears. So you have less choices to go with from there. So there's a lot of problems in Hollywood. The other thing with social media, of course, is we now know everything and anything about every actor, even things that we don't know about them or don't want to know about them. We basically have to know because they're out there for better or for worse. That stuff is on social media now, and I think you're beginning to see a lot of them like tear away from social media. There was like this time before where you'd have a few of them on there, and it was this kind of cool, cute thing that they were on there because they were just doing a few things here and there. And then we just got into that overhaul to where all of them, it was a money source, I guess, another kind of money source, and it was just too much. They just flooded the market with, their personal life that we didn't need to know about. I mean, a large majority of what makes a star, and it's one of those things too where everyone says like the last major movie star was Tom Cruise, and the reason why that is because there's a bit of mystery to him. Even though he had his moment there in the early 2000s where he lost his damn mind and went on Oprah and was jumping on couches and everything, there's mystery with him because he does not put it all out there. He knows that you show a little bit of yourself, but then keep the rest to yourself. Keep that private. And in today's world, all these celebrities just want to keep putting themselves out there as if we're gonna miss or ignore them, or not want to have anything to do with them if we don't see anything about them within a 24-hour time span. And that is that's that whole mystery, man. You need your mystery with your movie stars. You need to have a questionable to go, what are they really up to? Are they really like this? Aren't they really like this? But have no knowledge of what or what they're doing, where they live, how they live, what they're driving, who they're dating. We don't need to know that. Give that mystery back. Give that I want that feeling of, that, not saying that celebrities are on a pedestal, but like they were on that level to where it was, you were almost like, holy crap, like it's great. Like that's one thing about social media that is cool. There's so much closer now. You can find out that they're so much cooler, or that they're nice people. You can do more with that. That's great. But at the same time, man, it's just they're becoming too real, I guess you could say, to the point that people that might have held them up on some level just don't give a crap anymore. And I think that also affects the movie business and how it's like, celebrities just aren't a big deal anymore. It's just whatever. I was never one that got super crazy or super like obsessive with celebrities when I was growing up, but there was still this mystique. There was still this this awe about them when I was a kid, and now it's just like, okay, that's great, and sure, it has a lot to do with I've grown up and I'm in my 40s now, and so it's just I'm older than most of these individuals now, and it's just not a big thing. But at the same time, it's like even like 20 somethings, teenagers these days, it's just they look at it and go, okay, well, I can be better than that. I can go on social media, and I think that kills the mystique. I honestly do believe that you're not going to have a giant megastar like that anymore. I mean, you can even give names of people that you think are mega movie stars, but I mean, really they aren't. I mean, people could go Ryan Gosling, which I like Ryan Gosling, he's a good dude. But I mean, his last movie, The Fall Guy, which was critically acclaimed, was a good movie, bombed. I mean, just he couldn't carry it for whatever reason. You can get into a number of newer celebrities that just are not going to carry people, are not going to give you that $100 million opening that like a Will Smith did back in the day, that like a Tom Cruise. I mean, Tom Cruise still might be doing it. That even a Johnny Depp on some level used to do back in the day. You're just not going to have that anymore. And I mean, that's something that Hollywood needs to figure out what they need to do for themselves. Now, I saw this this thing. I was on YouTube, and sorry, 1 second here. And again, this is where I also think that just the entertainment business has been destroyed because it's been politicized so much. There was this guy, he was talking about how Matthew McConaughey put this video out about bringing Hollywood to Texas. And the guy in this YouTube video, and I forget his name, but whatever, who cares, is just going off about how Matthew McConaughey Woody Harrelson, who's in the video, and a few others, they can't stand Hollywood anymore. It's gotten too liberal, and now they want to bring it back to Texas, and they want to make it right. And he's basically making it as it's supposed to be this, that Hollywood's too liberal, too left, and here these guys, they want to bring it to Texas to make it correct. And I don't know if he's just so domed up on his side and only paying attention to what he wants to, or if he's just completely stupid. But it's not what the video about is at all. The video that McConaughey put out basically is about them just bringing studios to Texas so that they can bring money into Texas. I mean, the video even goes into talking about a bill that was passed that they would tax the studios and it would trickle down to other businesses and other people to make money. It wasn't anything about them hating Hollywood because it's too far to the left. We're gonna play this, and I mean, you can make your own decision about it. But to me, this is a video about them wanting to film in Texas, to use it as a backdrop, and to bring money into Texas, like what Georgia did. It was one of those things. I remember in like around 2000, 99, 2000. Hollywood really wanted to start filming in Florida. A lot of those studios, Disney and Universal, wanted to set up studios in Florida to film from here. And they were trying to work deals with a governor who was Bush at the time, Jeb Bush. But Jeb was basically going to tax the hell out of them. And they were like, dude, come on. I mean, we're going to bring business. We're going to bring money. And Jeb really wanted to tax them. They wanted to tax them. So they bailed. And they ended up in Georgia. And look what happened in Georgia in the last 25 years. More movies and more television are filmed out of Georgia, around Atlanta now, than even in Hollywood. And that could have been Florida, but our stupid governor at the time couldn't see in the future and just wanted a tax. So this is what McConaughey and them said in their video.
You ever wonder if this industry of ours is just chasing its own tail?
No. I don't wonder. Restrictions, regulations, nickel and diamond productions, political lectures. Hollywood, it's a flat circle wood, round and round like a record with the sound off.
So what, you just want to turn the record off?
No. I want to change the tune.
I got a CD of Jonas Brothers B-sides. Real deep cuts.
Look, this industry's like somebody's memory of an industry. And the memory's fading. I'm talking about a whole new hub for film and television, a renaissance, a rebirth.
How about a wholesale takeover?
Yeah. Small fraction of Texas budget surplus could turn this state into the new Hollywood.
Well, but we're not going to call it Hollywood. We'll call it, like, Fort Worth, Beaumont,
Austin,
Houston,
El Paso,
Longview,
McAllen,
Brown,
the Alamo.
Frankston.
Yeah.
Now, see, again, to me, they're talking about bringing money into these cities. I don't see how anything political's here. I mean, they're talking about how, yeah, it seems like they're getting tired of the same old stories. They're getting tired of the same, same routine that they have going over there that's kind of made Hollywood stale. Which, again, that doesn't have anything to do political-wise. The industry is stale. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing new. Everybody already knows that, but we'll let it continue.
McConaughey, where are you guys? I'm already on set. Texas has pulled a boatload of money for film incentives last session. This session, the sky's the limit.
No, we're heading to Texas, Billy Bob.
All right, well, the barbecue guy just dropped the grub off, so you might want to get on down here. It looks damn good.
Hey, Billy Bob.
Yeah.
You're on in 5.
Okay, thanks, son. All right, dude, I gotta go.
Yep.
Hey, it's Renee.
Renee.
Hey, y'all, just heard from Billy Bob. Told me you're heading to Texas.
That was quick.
That's quick.
Damn.
Well, count me in. I've been hotel hopping in all these other states for way too long. And I get it. I mean, making a production is hard. And if all these other states are going to offer an incentive, then that's where we're going to keep going, I just wish we could bring some of these productions home to Texas.
Well, get down here. Come on.
She makes a good point. Why should all these other states take advantage of this investment, but not Texas.
Exactly. We shouldn't have to shoot in Georgia.
Born in Mexico.
Or South Carolina.
Or Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Why don't we just keep that money in Texas?
Ain't all that money like corporate welfare for big Hollywood studios?
No, Wood, it's not.
Lumber yards, restaurants, hotels, housing, thousands of jobs.
Real Texas business owners and citizens. You see, every dollar spent from this incentive puts $4 back in the state of Texas.
That's good ROI.
Productions happen where incentives are.
Texas has the best land, best culture.
So why not the best incentives?
And look, it's not just films with A-list talent either. It's also the independents, commercials, local music videos.
They utilize local infrastructure. So you got all that out-of-state money going into Texans' pockets.
You're telling me my barber is going to benefit from Texas film incentives?
Maybe not your barber, but barbers. Sure.
You know, it just occurred to me that Texas is bigger than most countries. I mean, we got a greater variety of locations than anywhere.
We got deserts, oceans, we got forest, we got rolling hills. Is there anything we don't have?
It's time for Texas to become the home for telling stories that people want to see and hear.
Sounds like it's time for Texas to roll camera.
Yep. So what do you say, Texas legislature? You don't like what Hollywood's been dishing? Let's take over the kitchen. Yeah.
Again, I mean, this is going into them wanting to bring studios to Texas, to bring money to Texas. I mean, that's nothing different than what Georgia did. That's nothing different than what New Mexico did, or Oklahoma, you know, as they're saying. And I mean, Florida's somewhat trying to figure that out. But it's about, look, I mean, there was a time when you went to Hollywood to become famous, and that's where all those studios are now. I get it. But I think in the next 20 years, you're going to start seeing states pop up with their own studios. You're about to have a new explosion of studios probably run or handled by different states. I mean, you're going to have an industry that's not just about 1 or 2 or 3 states. It's probably going to be about all 50 states, in which they'll probably tell their own stories, or they'll tell, you know, how they want to, have their own entertainment, whatever it may be. And it'll start off like that, and then of course they'll start all being bought up as that is. But I mean, in the next 20 years, I think this was going to happen. You're going to have a Florida studio, you're going to have a Georgia studio, you're going to have Alabama, you have Texas, California, Wyoming, and so on, because it's all about keeping the money in-house or bringing money to your state that you can then tax and put back into your state. And again, I mean, I should have looked up that video from that dude that was on YouTube, just making it all about left and right, and it has nothing to do with left and right. Of course, I mean, McConaughey makes that shot at the end saying, well, so Texas, you don't like what Hollywood's been making, let us, you know, because, I mean, he understands the people of Texas, and he's going to say that to try to force the hand of the legislator to. It's almost like a Jedi mind trick that he's playing there. He's trying to flip it on the legislation, but that has nothing to do with politics, man. That just has something to do with politics, because he wants the legislation to write an act to bring, you know, allow these studios there. But it's all about money. It's about bringing money into Texas, because they've seen the money that has gone to Georgia in the last 20 years. They've seen the money that's gone to New Mexico. They've seen the money that's gone into South Carolina and into and maybe even Oklahoma. And Texas has always viewed itself as the most important state in the country, like the biggest spoiled baby that you'll ever meet in the world. If nobody's talking about them, they're going to whine and complain about it until somebody listens. And that's all that they're doing. They're looking out for their own state. All those actors that were in that commercial are born in Texas. I mean, there's nothing shocking about that. I mean, well, besides Renee Zellweger really putting that accent in there. Holy crap! I mean, she was really working that Southern accent in there, or Texas accent. But there's nothing overly political, and that dude on YouTube needs to spit the red pill out, because he's making a mountain out of a molehill on that one. There's really nothing there. But I mean, movies and theaters, unfortunately, are never going to be what they were 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years ago. That's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, that's just the evolution of the business. Has streaming really destroyed that aspect of it? Yeah. I mean, if your choices are paying, $14 a month for Netflix and having all those movies show up where you can watch them anytime you want to there, or paying possibly, depending on who you're taking with you, anywhere from $50 to $100 at the theater, depending on how many kids you have, for a movie that you might not even like, or might have political leanings one way or the other that you don't want that you don't care to see, or you don't want people in your family or whatever to deal with. I get that, but I mean, it's no different than what's happened in the music business. The music business is basically dead. I mean, rock and roll has been dead for probably 15 years now. Rap has been dead for at least 10. Pop music is trying to survive, but even pop music is just straight trash. Nobody writes albums anymore. They try to write a quick song that they can, then have people do stupid dances on TikTok or on Instagram for, and try to get a quick hit of money for that. There's nobody actually putting any actual, energy into songwriting or even a decent album anymore. It's just about selling singles. So I mean, we're in a new world, a new mindset with things. But yeah, I miss the theaters. I miss the aspect of looking up a movie, buying tickets before the thing sells out. That whole energy of, man, what are we gonna get? I hope it's like it is. Please be as awesome as we think it's going to be, and then either it being that awesome or it being just complete crap, and you're walking out the theater going, what the hell did I just watch? But man, I don't know. I mean, it's great. It would be great to hear some of your guys' thoughts on the state of Hollywood. I mean, as long as it doesn't get too political. We all know that there are politics involved, but I mean, we hear actual thoughts and answers or legitimate comments as far as where you think Hollywood is. But I mean, movies don't really appeal to get me to go to the theater anymore. But maybe one day that'll all change. Who knows? Probably not. But what can you do? It is what it is. But on that note,